Ryan O'Connell's special is back on Netflix for season 2, and this is where we're unpacking the series. Cue the titles. Hello and welcome to Special Unpacked. We're providing episode by episode breakdowns of Special, the second and final season, can't believe it's the last one, of Ryan O'Connell's amazing comedy drama on Netflix. Is this second series as good as the first? If you're new here, don't forget to consider subscribing. I am Phil Marriott, and of course here is Sean Vickers. We did a great unpacking of the previous episode. If you haven't watched it, check it out. It's up there somewhere, down in the show notes.
It's floating around on screen.
Yeah.
Phil have done a good job. There's a rectangle.
It's there somewhere. So we've got full details of our unpacking stuff down there. Don't forget to click the bell for notifications of when we're going live as well. And join us in chat. You might be there already. If you are, thank you. Sean, what did you make of episode 2?
We're in, aren't we? We are into the season. I'm enjoying the extended episode length. Yeah, I think it works really well. So we've come out of episode 1 of season 2. We've met all the characters again. We've reminded ourselves of what's going on. The landscape. Ryan and Karen still not talking. Ryan has met Tanner, who is in an open relationship with Richard, and Kim has met tech millionaire Harrison, and it's all to play for.
We decided we liked both of those characters for different reasons.
Yeah, thumbs up, like them both. Facts.
This episode is called I Don't Like It Like This. It's written by Mason Flink, and once again directed by Anna DeCosa, who I followed on Twitter just the other day. So Kim and Ryan, they're having a conversation about protecting yourself, because I think she's concerned that Ryan is going to get hurt with this relationship this is in. Obviously, Tanner is in an open relationship.
Yeah, I think Kim's been a good friend, right? And, I think at this point, Ryan and Tanner have kind of been dating in the best possible term for a couple of weeks. Things seem to be going well. Ryan, I think, is getting into it a little bit. But there's some really hard full stops, because whenever Richard comes back to town, Richard and Tanner have an agreement that they don't sleep with anyone else outside of that. And so therefore, Tanner advises Ryan that Richard's coming back, and therefore there's going to be a month of little to no communication, which I think it hits Ryan pretty hard. Yeah,
I think that's a really good scene where Ryan's in the wardrobe and he's deciding on what to chuck out. It's chic or bleak, isn't it? Yeah, chic or bleak. And he's saying, and he's holding one of his shirts up, and Tanner says, I don't love it. And Ryan's reply to that was, me neither. And he kind of is hinting that he doesn't like this arrangement.
Situation,
the relationship.
The arrangement. Yeah, he's rolling with it. Kim can sense that, I think. And I think she's just trying to get his back. She just wants him to take care of himself, because I think she can see him really falling for Tanner. The situation, in a way, is loaded in the favor of Tanner. In a way, he has this bit on the side, which is Ryan, and he's got this loving relationship with Richard. Ryan's one end of the boomerang. So yeah, it's tough.
We mentioned on the last episode that it's a great balance of comedy and drama. We have a lot of comedy in this episode.
We do.
Karen at yoga, or Pilates, or meditation, whatever she's at. She's at this yoga, bumping into her old friend Tonya that she hasn't seen, I'm guessing, for about 25 years, because there's a reference to, Ryan being a kid. And obviously he's not a kid anymore. And it's almost like Tonya's, blissfully unaware of stuff that's happened, because they've lost touch, but they're lying down and they have to do this screaming thing where they have to let their anger out. And there's a brilliant yoga teacher who's just encouraging them all to scream. And you see Karen just being the one that screams the most out the whole group, and she's just carrying on screaming. Made me feel quite good.
Initially she has this reticence, and the instructor's a bit like, what are you doing? I mean, maybe we should all try a screaming class.
I know, yeah. I wanted to try it afterwards, just to get this lockdown frustration out of me. It might be one to do, maybe. I'm a bit inspired by that. I should also say that Tonya's played by Lauren Weidman, who was in Looking, if you remember Looking.
That's very true. Yeah, so we've got a couple of new characters today. Tonya is one of them. The other one is a guy called Mark Miller.
Not impressed.
Now, Mark, not a fan of Mark. I'm going to say that. At the start of the episode, Ryan and Tanner are out, and Mark approaches them and kind of fanboys Ryan a bit about his articles in Egg Woke and how he's a huge fan and all that good stuff. And Tanner's a bit like, oh, he wants to get your knickers, basically. And so when Tanner goes away for a month, really, because he's with Richard, Ryan tracks down Mark, and they arrange to go on a date.
Also, you should say that Kim is with Harrison in the kitchen. It's kind of Fatal Attraction style, but no bunnies.
It's quite full on.
Yeah.
They're really going for it. They've really found a connection.
That relationship is progressing quite well, isn't it?
Yeah, that is definitely moving forward. Kim has got used to the fact that he's a tech billionaire. She's fine. She's away. And in some ways, it seems it's a different setup. This is, again, we talked about this in the last Unpacked. Two relationships between two people. One's got a complication. One's got a bit of a curve on it. But how they meet at the same time, and how they kind of run at different speeds, and how they kind of evolve. I think that's very clever about this season. About, again, a lot of parallels
and a lot of contrast. Like I said on the last episode, it goes from comedy to drama really swiftly, and you go deep and dark. There's that scene in the gym with Kim when she's on the battle ropes, and she's, again, with those facial expressions which are brilliant. She's such a great comedy actor. But then, of course, we see that scene with Mark Miller, this new guy that Ryan's met, and he's very curious about Ryan's CP, and kind of turned on by the fact that he had leg braces, and it's just so creepy. He's such a creepy character.
Yeah, this whole bit is a whole world of problematic.
It's just horrible.
Because there are people there are devotees in the world that fetishize this kind of thing, but there is this kind of consensual objectification is something that exists, and that is not here. This is a very non-consensual objectification. And in episode 1, we see that kind of very respectful conversation between Tanner and between Ryan about his CP. In this scene, this sex scene, there's a power shift, and there's a fetishization and ableism kind of move by Mark that clearly makes Ryan feel deeply uncomfortable. Yeah.
I didn't like his character at all, even from the offset when he appears to be quite pleasant and you don't know any of that, what's about to happen, that conversation. I just found him a bit full on, and just unnerving. I was unnerved by his presence, and I'm not even Ryan.
Yeah. There's a strange power thing in this conversation as well, because it's a little bit like it's almost as if Mark perceives that someone like Ryan could never find a partner.
Exactly, very patronizing.
Yeah, and therefore he should be. It's so problematic, the whole end of this scene. But I think it is placed well when you kind of contrast to that relationship with Tanner, because you have, again, it's about similarities. Here you have two sets of gay men having sex and an entirely different outcome. And that's what I think is so clever.
So brilliantly played out as well, I've got to say, because the final scene, that closing scene of Ryan in the bath, scrubbing his arm where the scar is, and then you see him just sinking under the water. It's, oh my God, so powerful, that scene. For a comedy drama, it's by and large quite light and quite funny. There is a lot of serious stuff in there, and like I said before, it needs to be, and there needs to be that talking point. But yeah, so powerful.
But also in some ways, Mark is like reducing Ryan to nothing more than his CP. It's awful. It's beyond problematic, and I think it's important they place this in the series, because again, Ryan O'Connor's telling his story about what's going on in life, and there's something very real here, and it's disgusting, and it's hugely problematic.
And there's also that discussion about class as well, because you see Kim and Harrison having that, that chat about Nikki, his sister, and the fact that Harrison used to be poor, and you realise that Kim's in debt. She's got, is it a $42,000 credit card debt? So you obviously, you're aware that she has fake shoes. She, in the first episode we see her painting those shoes to make them designer shoes. And there's that interesting plot line too, is, that somebody, you can judge people, you can see people, you might not necessarily know them, or you might be misled into thinking that you know them. And I thought that was quite clever part of the story.
Well, yeah, I think that's a really good point, because you see Harrison today in his big glass box in LA, and you perceive that that's always been the way. So, at one point Kim says, I just presume that you were that person that went to that school and had a great, you've had a privileged upbringing, and that's not the same. Actually, he understands Kim more than she knows. And I think that's the way where they actually start to cement their relationship, crystallize their relationship. So you're spot on. It's I think nothing in this series is excess. Everything has a place, and that's what I think is quite clever about it. Because they're like, previously season was 15-20 minutes an episode. This is like 25-30 minutes an episode, but there's no waste in this. It's really well done, it's really well placed, and the narrative is beautifully knit together.
I completely agree. There's no bagginess. Nothing is there that doesn't need to be. You're right. It all has a purpose. And I like the fact there is more breathing space too. There's more room for a bit more story. And also the kind of serious, important storylines as well, which I think, need to be there, like I say. But we also see Tonya, Karen's old friend that she's reconnected with, moving in to her place. Because obviously there's a spare room. And we see, obviously, Ryan discovering that his stuff's all boxed up and he takes his stuff away, and there's that as well. There's that pressure that his mother is kind of disconnecting in a way and letting him get on with his life, which is hard and also essential, I guess.
Karen has cared for Ryan and they've been codependent in a way for a long time. In fact, his whole life they've been codependent, and in some ways someone moves into Ryan's room, and again, there's a weird codependency happening, actually maybe more towards Karen than Tonya. But I think it reflects the way Karen is as a person. She's a carer and she's a giver naturally. And I think what we'll start to see is how Tonya works with that and plays with that over the coming episodes.
I really love the actress that plays Karen. I can't think of her name, but I think she was in The Sinner.
She's played by Jessica Hecht.
There we go. She's got a real sadness about her as well. It's her facial expressions, which I warm to. I kind of feel her sadness, even though she's not she's not a sad person necessarily, but you can tell there's a lot of depth there. I've really enjoyed this episode. I've enjoyed this season so far. There's so much to unpack, and also I love the fact that there are new characters being introduced that we could talk about too.
Very much so, and more to come. So yeah, Fab episode 2. Thrilled to talk about episode 3.
Yeah. If you've enjoyed this, don't forget to give us a like, leave a comment if you're in chat, tell us what you've thought about this, and also special as a series 2, we are unpacking episode 3 soon. Check all the details down below for when you can see us, and we'll see you next time. Good to see you, Sean.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.